right, Almost Punk Podcast, episode 11 with Colin and Olga.
We like punk and punk adjacent genres. We talk about music. We talk about new releases. We talk about what's going on in the scene. We complain. We have opinions. That's kind of what is happening on this episode and most of our episodes.
Yeah. Speaking of the scene, East Bay hardcore news.
So a couple episodes ago, I had a theory that something is happening with the Nerve Agents. It's an East Bay hardcore band. We used to really like them a lot. We've seen them a bunch of times. They used to play a lot with Tiger Army, AFI. They played with Death by Stereo. They played with Distillers back in the day. And I've noticed that they started having online activity lately. They've been posting on Instagram. So I've had a theory that something was in the works for this year. And I was correct.
You were. You predicted it right on this show. We said it.
I did.
You said you heard it here first.
Yeah, we talked about this like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, something like that. And so I was right. So this year is a 20th anniversary of the album Days of the White Owl. And I guess they were going to release a special version. I think they were going to play a show. That's my theory.
Yep.
Not confirmed, but probably, I mean, what's the point of trying to release something and not play a show? I think it would be more fun with a show. And then this past week, they have posted a statement saying that they were going to do a 20th anniversary of this album, and they have put a stop to that. They've contacted the record label and have decided to not proceed with that because I guess their former bandmate, Dante, made some statements against Black Lives Matters, and the rest of the band does not stand by it. They're against what he said, and they don't want to release music with him on it right now. And they want to dissociate from the whole situation and make it clear that the rest of the guys don't think that that's okay, and they no longer plan on working with him. I think last episode we were talking about all these things coming out about all these bands in the scene. We even talked about how much it sucks when it's one person in the band.
Yeah.
And the rest of the band doesn't necessarily stand by them, and it kind of impacts the whole band. And then here we are a week later, that is happening to one of our favorite bands. In fact, Dante was like one of my favorite people in that band. I had a really cool style. He likes striped shirts. I like striped shirts.
It was fairly shocking. You sent me over the Instagram post.
Yep.
And so immediately I go, oh my God, what is this guy talking about? So I go to try to find it. You can't find it anywhere.
No.
And I mean, I don't even have Instagram, but I try to Google it, and then they have those mirror sites of Instagram. And so I'm like trying to look him up. He doesn't have an account anymore, apparently. So I go on Twitter and I try to find him. It's gone. His account is gone. And so I still don't know what he said. And I don't even know if he made a comment that was public.
Yeah, because
it seemed like it was an internal problem that they had within the band, and they
and maybe it wasn't. Maybe they're having a band Zoom to discuss the release, and he's saying, "Oh, blah blah blah." We don't know. Yeah, it wasn't clear where the comment was. I have not been able to find it, but it's kind of last week we were talking about all these labels and all these people after people start giving them a hard time of what they said and done, they just delete their social media. So I don't know if it's a case of deleting social media or if it's a case of, maybe it was his private Instagram, Facebook text message with the band. Who knows?
The note is he trivialized Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no context, so I really don't know. And so I take the band's word for it. I'm like, F that guy. I don't like him anymore either. I'm glad he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Although now I'm like, well, they're not gonna have a reunion, and that's gonna suck. But then it reminds me of last week when my pick of the week on episode 10, I picked "Don't Sleep." That I thought, this band's awesome. The song's called "No Other Way." It was my pick of the week, so I stand by it. Song's still good. And then after the fact, we were talking about you search bands after the fact. I did. I assumed everything was fine because it's got former members of Dag Nasty, and they're connected to all these cool bands that I like already. And then it turns out he's like the founder, one of the founders of the conservativepunk.com, along with that dude who was like representing Proud Boys from the Ex-Misfits singer. So I'm like, you cannot, I'm not following this band anymore. I don't care about them anymore. I don't like them anymore. I mean, the song, I said the song's good. I can't be like, the song's not good anymore. The song is still good. But, you know, I'm done with them.
Other good bands
it's like
that you can listen to.
And it's just like, at what point in time can you accept that someone doesn't have the same beliefs as you and you just agree to disagree and everything's fine? And then at what point, there's a line where it's like, okay, not only do you not believe in what I believe in, but now you're saying things that I find offensive, and now I don't even like you anymore. And I think that's like, I don't know with Don't Sleep, I don't know exactly where the lead singer is on his political beliefs. I mean, I tried to look, I can't find it, but I'm like, I've been poisoned now. It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't have to go out of my way to try to justify promoting a behavior that I don't believe in the first place. I just like, you know what? I just think you go your way, I go my way.
Yeah.
And maybe our paths will cross in the future and you're not a terrible person. But I'm not willing to just give you the benefit of the doubt until you do something otherwise.
Yeah, and to do yet another callback to a previous episode, it's, you know, we talked about there's a big misconception that there's not as much racism or there's not racism in alternative scenes. And then just in the last month and a half, watching so much stuff unfold, you realize, oh, you know, we all walk around thinking, oh, this is a scene for people who think a certain way for the majority or most of the time or majority of people, but that's not even the case. And it's not even just like, oh, they have different religious beliefs or fiscally they're conservative. These are people who are speaking out against people who are different than them based on their skin color. Like, it's just completely crazy to me.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm like, so we had Ephraim Schultz. We interviewed him a couple weeks ago. And he's like, you know, at some point you just draw the line and you're done with those people. And I think, okay, that's where we're at. I have to be more diligent about who I'm supporting, what bands that, you know, I'm going to stick with and go along with what they have to say. You have to pay more attention. I think at one point in my life, I wouldn't have cared. I think when I was like a teenager in my early 20s, I was, you know, I still have my political beliefs, but I'm not militant about it. It was just something in the back of my head. But we're living in times where it's like, this is in the front of my mind. These are like hot topics in this country. And so I'm not going to be very casual about your racism or your, it's just like, you might, because at one point it would just be like, oh, I don't support affirmative action. So a friend might have said that to me in the past, and I'd be like, all right, well, that's fine. You don't support affirmative action. You know, we're still cool. And I wouldn't even ask more questions. I would just be like, okay, that's just one thing we just don't agree on. No problem. But then you start probing and then you find there's more to it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it just starts getting worse and worse and worse. And so I guess it's important to ask those questions and have those conversations just so you know who you're talking to.
Yeah. And maybe
it might just be something that, oh, I don't support it because I think in and itself it's racist and I just can't go along with affirmative action. I mean, I would disagree, but I'd be like, okay, we can agree to disagree. And I don't think you're a terrible person. But if I ask follow-up questions and then everything you say is white power, we're done. That's the end. I need to ask those questions. Everyone needs to ask those questions.
And I think there's a difference. And there's a difference between saying I don't understand something. It's a completely different place to be, because then you can be educated by your friends and family about, oh, you don't understand this, and then they can try to explain it to you. But if you're saying you're against something, then that means you have educated yourself and you've made a decision. Difference between I don't fully understand or I don't understand why this impacts that versus I'm against it already because of my beliefs and I've done the research and I've landed on a different side of it.
Absolutely. I mean, because this is punk music. This is something that we've lived for. It's a big part of who we are. It's a big part of our life. And if we're just going to let anyone come into it with all their stupid thoughts without questioning it, it just makes it worse for everybody else, you know?
Yeah. We already have to deal with it in our real world.
It's a
It would be
disappointment.
nice not to deal with it in our after work world that we opt into, but here we
so that's
are.
why I'm like, okay, so I'm going to find bands that I think are cool, and I'm going to promote those bands that promote my belief system, which I'm thinking is more harmonious, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they could argue that I'm the one that's wrong. I just don't see it. I see it like white supremacy is not a harmonious thing, and I'm not into it.
And if
And
you
we're
don't
not
agree
gonna
with
be
us on
friends
that,
about
that's
it.
okay. You can not support our podcast. I'm okay with that.
I mean, I don't know how you can just let that slide. I'm not letting it slide. It's bullshit.
Yeah. And that's another thing we totally predicted. This whole episode, everything, we predicted there's going to be more scandals, and it's been less than like a week till the next one. And we even said, well, we might promote a band at some point that we will figure out we didn't really want to promote because of their beliefs. And here we are.
It's nuts. I mean, we've been talking about a problem with racism, sexism, homophobia every week, and it's not hard to find. Like, for me, it was just opening up my eyes. I never paid attention, like I was saying, back when I was younger, up until, a year ago. I just didn't think it was a part of the scene, and I thought it was a small thing and not a problem. Not dead wrong.
It's a lot worse than I had anticipated, but I mean, I've always known that like female musicians have a completely different experience than male musicians. But that's because it's easy for me to see that because I am a female musician. So that's something I just got to experience. So I'm very aware of that because I had experienced it myself. So
absolutely. It makes sense. You've been discriminated against. You're very aware that there's a problem. Well, I'm a middle-aged white dude. I've never been discriminated against in my life. It's people like me that are doing the discriminating. So my perspective is totally along those lines where it's like, there's no problem. If there was a problem, I would know it. Because I've been in the scene forever.
Yeah.
No. It's stupid. It's a stupid. If you don't recognize the problem and you ignore the problem, you're just part of the problem. And so that's where I'm like, okay, this is calling that band out.
Yeah.
Like, you were pick of the week. I'm done with you. That was it. Goodbye. We're just not going to be cool anymore.
Now you're almost grudge of the week.
Well, I guess I'll just call that as my grudge of the week. When you think a band is cool and then you find out they don't have the same beliefs as you, and you'll never get along with them, and it's a huge disappointment. And you wish you could change people's minds, but I guess that's going to be something that I have to look into, but I don't know. Calling people out and calling them names and saying how you hate them and they're bastards and assholes, that's probably not the best way to go to change someone's mind. So maybe I'll look into that, like psychological warfare to like how to make an asshole not be an asshole.
I liked what actually Ephraim said when we talked to him. I thought what he said was I thought it was great. He said he does listen to people who have different views, and he tries to, understand where they're coming from and understand that they have biases and that their experience is different from his. And you can only each one of us is influenced in how we think and how we feel and what we believe by the things we experience. And as human beings, we have to acknowledge that you don't know what it's like to be a Black person if you're not a Black person. You don't know what it's like to be a woman if you're not a woman, and so on. And so you have to acknowledge that and understand, hey, somebody from a completely different experience might not be aware of it. And you can give them a choice or a chance to voice their opinion and explain why you think yours, and not yelling at them, but just, being patient. And then if they don't see it your way, then you can decide to not discuss it anymore and you don't need to talk to that person again. But I thought what he said was really rational, and it is like we do have to figure out a way to get along with people who are different than us. Sometimes you can cut them off. Sometimes they're your friends and you can cut them off. Sometimes you have to work with them, or they're in your family and you're kind of stuck with them forever and you can kind of cut them off, but you're always going to be related to them, and that sucks. And so it is important to learn how to talk to those people so we can educate them about things that they don't know about. Because all of us don't know everything. I mean, you and I almost know everything, but even us, we don't know everything.
All right, I'll try. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I won't come out level 10 right off the bat.
Yeah.
I just feel at some point it gets rough.
I think I've also heard people who, you know, professionally spend a lot of time trying to rehabilitate like extreme racists who are in racial crime groups and stuff like that. And it sounds like that's what they do. Step one is you want to understand, why is this person's experience different than yours? How did they come to these beliefs? And I mean, it doesn't mean they're right, but you can understand, like at least try to understand why did they think that, and have compassion. Because sometimes, you know, it is things like they lost their job or they grew up, whatever. Everybody has their own struggles. And then you have to show to them how that doesn't mean that the following is also true. Like you have your struggles, but that doesn't mean other people don't have other struggles, bigger struggles, different struggles than you. Man, we're solving every world problem over here.
Well, I don't know if you can bring back someone from the dead. It's probably a bad way to transition.
Yeah. Oh.
There is the Steve SOTO live stream tribute coming up as well.
It is this weekend, August 22nd, and the proceeds will benefit Save Our Stages.
It's an organization fighting for that assembly bill that we talked about in a couple podcasts ago, trying to get clubs and, you know, medium stages and smaller venues to be able to take loans and pay them back over longer periods of time so they can remain open and not have every club go out of business, which is a huge concern considering that we're looking at another year without these places being able to open and they have to pay the rent.
Yep.
So Save Our Stages is leading the cause on that one. And I'll link it in the thingy again so you can go there and check out the website.
Yep, in the show notes.
And then you can go without even paying money. You can just go have it send a letter to your local congressperson. You know, it'll take your zip code and fill out the forms for you, give you a letter, and you could edit the letter or just send it as it is. So it's something that's necessary to keep the scene alive.
Yeah, so do it.
And
that's your homework for this week.
That's got some huge bands.
Yeah.
Social Distortion, Death by Stereo, Manic Hispanic's playing, I believe.
I think some of it is going to be on the same stage that the Death by Stereo.
Social Sanctuary, the same place that Death by Stereo did their live stream. This is the same.
Which was amazing.
Yeah, so that's what I was wondering, because I mean, we really don't know how it's going to go. I imagine they will have that cool venue, but all of those bands, it's not possible for them to all be there on that stage.
It's true. Maybe some will probably be remote. Some will be there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Sib, the owner of Side One Dubbing Records, he's going to be the host. Yeah. I imagine he'd be there, and maybe a few of his friends or something like that. But the other bands, they got to be doing it remotely. But this is going to be another new way to go for a concert again. This is like every live stream, it's a new experience here that we're getting.
Yeah, I already bought my ticket because I'm excited to have weekend plans. Mm-hmm. And it sounded like an awesome show. It's not just like because this is better than vacuuming. And then I saw a couple other streams this week. I've just been streaming it up this week. I saw a show last weekend. I watched La Machina, and that's a band we just discovered during the Punk Rock Bowling live, quote unquote, that they did this year. And that's a band I've never seen before. I like them. And so they did a stream last weekend, and it was for their new release. It's a 7-inch called Welcome to the Machina. And it was really cool. It was like a 30-minute show. And this, it started at 10 p.m. my time.
Oh,
or
wow.
our time.
Perfect
So
timing.
it was almost like going to a show, because all these streams have been around 5 or so.
Yeah. Did the band acknowledge the live audience out in the digital realm? Was there a interactive chat room during the live stream?
So that's what's been interesting about this whole streaming experience that is happening every week with all these different bands. There's so many platforms now, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. So this is on Stage It, which is, I have seen a couple shows. This is my 3rd show on Stage It now, and you can tip the bands, and there's a chat so people can talk while the band is playing. So that's kind of fun because you can at least sort of bond with other people that are watching the same show.
It reminds me of the AOL chat rooms.
Yes, it's like an AOL chat room while you're watching a band.
Yeah.
And this performance was like very garagey. It felt very like I'm watching band practice. Like the audio wasn't, it was just gritty, but it was kind of perfect because it was late. I had a couple of drinks. It was 10 p.m., which is just so late for live streaming shows. So I was really feeling the vibe of it.
That's really good.
It wasn't the best executed live stream I've seen, but it was really fun. And then I also watched, Thursday did a live stream this week. So they were they were planning a tour this year with Cursive.
Cursive.
So I Watch You From Afar. And that one was the opposite. It started at 1 p.m. on a Wednesday. So, so it was completely during work hours, and it was.
Well, I guess it depends on where you live. That's,
depends where you live. But for me, it was totally during work hours. But they do have the stream available for, I think, 2 days after. So you have a chance to watch it again at a time that's convenient to you.
The guitar player for My Chemical Romance played guitar for Thursday for these live shows.
Yeah, because the guitarist because the guitarists from Thursday couldn't travel because of some COVID restrictions. So then they had Frank Iero fill in. And I think he was the only one wearing a mask. So it was just kind of funny because I guess the band is in a bubble, but he's not. I don't know. I thought that was amusing. Just, it's very interesting to see these COVID shows. So that show was at a really cool like metal bar in New York. But I mean, there was no audience there. They just recorded there. As I Watch You From Afar, it played from their own space. I'm not sure where, because I literally spend most of their set trying to get it to stream on my TV. And then I watched the Cursive set was pre-recorded from last year. And then the Thursday set was live from this year. And they had some really cool like camera angles. And then they turned that off and they did some even acoustic. And then they went back and played a couple more songs. So it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. If you like Thursday, you should check it out.
All right. Was that a free one?
It was not. I think it was $10, but they did have a free option for people who are unemployed, which is really great. That's another thing all these platforms are doing. They're letting you sponsor people, whether strangers or some of them let you buy tickets for your friends and things like that, which is really cool because, as you know, a lot of them are doing it for charity or for various causes, but a lot of people are really financially strapped right now. So I think it's really cool that they do have free options.
Yeah, that was good. And then some countries are doing live shows.
Yes. So I heard that there was a first socially distanced show in UK.
Yeah.
And it was...
You found one and I found one. I
had
had the Gisborne Park pop-up.
Yes, and that's happening this weekend.
Yeah, and you'd found the Virgin Money Unity Arena.
Oh, yes. So the show that I found, it was for indie artist Sam Fender, and it looks like, they did it's a first of series of socially distanced shows. And then the comment is that, from a financial perspective, this is not going to work because it was a very big venue with only 2,500 people in it. It's basically, this is as good as we can do now, which should just be
Yeah.
the motto of 2020. It's like, it's not even a college try. It's a, I showed up, I get an A.
It's very strange. So it's like a venue that's like Woodstock, you know, just this huge open space area. And then you're basically a group of 4 people in the space of a car. And you're just like blocked off in your little car area. And that's how it is. So you just stay with the people that you're close to in this little consolidated area, and then you still see the show. So that's just a new way of how concerts are going. So
and
we're still not at a good way yet. But
and then
attempts.
at least in California, I am seeing some drive-in concerts popping up. I think the one near us that's happening is Sublime.
And Metallica, I think.
Oh, Metallica's doing one. Okay. And I think something corporate already did some in LA.
Oh, funny.
And so, and so what they do is now they charge you per car, and then you have to kind of stay away from people. It's basically just like drive-in movies, except you're going to be really, really far from the band. But
yeah, and I think with the Metallica one, they're playing live somewhere, but they're broadcasting it like they would a movie in a drive-through. So it's a live show where you go, instead of streaming it from your house, you're streaming it from like a movie theater or a drive-through, so you can still get like the big loud sound with, I guess, through your car speakers probably is how it would be. So that's a little different than you're watching the band live at the same place.
And Metallica has already done at least 2 that I remember events like that with in theaters nationally. So I don't know. I don't know if I need to see a 3rd one.
Well, I don't know if I need to see it either, but there's several options that are developing. I think we're in this is a new developing times with several options to see live music in some form.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that none of them match the the experience of old, but some of them are certainly better than others in this new world here.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think it's cool that they're doing that because, you know, I'm sure fans want to see it, but that's kind of not the band I'm trying to support right now. There's so many bands that are broke and are, you know, could go extinct that I'm not really worried about Metallica playing a show.
Oh, absolutely not. But I just thought it's good for bands with resources to try new things because they might stumble across something that might work for someone without all those resources.
That's true.
And so they have the ability to experiment and see what works and what doesn't. And if something actually was cool, a smaller band would be able to use that format and do something with it. So I thought it was good for that purpose. Okay, they don't need the money, but could they actually come up with something cool? Maybe. You know, so maybe. But then, like you just said, La Machina just it's got a garage show and it was perfectly fine. So maybe that's better than some of these drive-through big production things. Although the Death by Stereo concert was still it was really good. It was good too. So
I have actually seen a decent number of really good live streams at this point. So I do believe it can work. And even though they're starting to charge, you don't have to pay for drinks. So you can drink at home. So it's still, even if you're paying $10 to watch a stream, you would have paid that much to go to a club, and then you would have paid $40 for drinks. So
yeah, I mean, we're talking about a little last time, and I mean, Karen, if it's a reasonable price and you get something for it, then it's okay. It's just if they start charging an arm and a leg for something that's not worth it, well, then that's a problem. So.
I'm in the $5 to $10 range. I'm totally willing to check your show out. So, and absolutely. I've paid for several of those shows, and I'm totally fine with it. Yeah, they've been fun.
All right, we're moving on to new releases, picks of the week. Is that where you want to go?
Yes. So there's a couple new releases. First one is from the band Get Dead. It's a first single from their album that is coming out this year in October. They are from Bay Area. They're on Fat Wreck. And the first song, it just kind of sounded like a bunch of different genres to me.
Yeah, Disruption.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was very ambitious. It was, overall, it's a ska punk song. That's how I would just say, overall, if you had to pick one thing.
Yeah.
Ska punk.
Okay,
But then it had heavier moments. It had like post-hardcore in it a little bit. And so, I mean, it's like a little angular.
Yeah.
It's got a little heavy part. It's got a semi-spoken word part, ambient music part. So I was like, well, this band is trying new things.
Yeah.
And I actually liked it overall. I mean, it took me a little bit to get into, right? But I was like, okay, no, I'm going to check this out. When the full length comes out, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, listening to it, I was surprised I'm still listening to the same song. I was like, wait, we're changing it. You know what it reminded me of now that I think about it? You know how at Super Bowl they do medleys of a bunch of songs?
Yes.
And you and I usually complain about that, but it was kind of like a medley of a bunch of different songs.
I was thinking, like I agree with that totally.
And well executed medley, but it sounded kind of like, here's my 6 hits that I'm going to sing in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, so it's like, I can't remember how long it is. Let's say it's 3.5, 3 minutes, 45 minutes, 2.5. I don't know. It's a short, it's not a long song, even though it's got a lot of parts to it. It reminds me of like a very condensed Tool song from their new album. Like Tool's new album has songs that are like 15 minutes long. They have sections and segments. And this is like, well, this is like a punk rock Tool right now because they have so many different things going on. So
yeah, I was surprised by it.
And I'll give them credit because I like I said, I like the song. Usually, if a band experiments too much, I don't like them anymore because I'm like,
true.
I like Social Distortion because Social Distortion sounds a certain way. Like I don't need Social Distortion doing ambient music, experimental spaceships, and because they're tired of it. It's like if you're tired of it, I'm tired of it. So, but anyway, this band, hey, they tried new things, and it's cool. So, awesome. Okay, good for them. Get dead. And they're from the Bay Area. This week is an all Bay Area pick of the week set.
Ooh, you're right.
That's right, because I was picking Destroy Boys out of the East Bay, and I'm like, how did I not know this band existed? It's so good. And I just the song I picked was Honey, I'm Home, because that's the new one. They're going to have a new album coming out, and this is just the new release. But I'm like, they formed in 2015, and they already got like a couple albums out. So I'm like, man, this stuff's good.
Yeah.
How did I not know? They're a Bay Area band. They live 30 minutes from my house, 45 minutes tops, and yet I didn't even know. And so, totally awesome. They say, I like the description that you found.
Me too.
It was, what would happen if Blondie stumbled into a Misfits recording session? I thought, hey, okay, that's cool.
I really like that description too. I thought that was good. And it was a very creative description, which I like. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to more from them.
And my other pick, again, out of the East Bay, Oakland, Grumpster on Asian Man Records.
Name.
So cool. And I just stumbled across them again on Spotify, just a random thing that came. You know, I say it's a random thing, but when you're on a musical platform that is spying on everything that you listen to and you say you stumbled across something, I think I'm being force-fed, actually. So I was spied upon. The algorithm decided what I would like, and they were right. It was
and it's not spied upon. I think sometimes it is nice when the algorithm understands you, because sometimes no human understands me, or it feels like it. And then it's so nice when somebody understands you, even if it is a product that you use or a website that you shop, and they go, you would like this. And you're like, you're right, I would like this.
That's how they get
you. And you understand me. Do you know what
my phone, humanity, though.
You know what my phone did this week? On your phone, you can go and it helps you find all the photos of a particular person.
Yes, you've mentioned that.
Yeah. So my phone shows me pictures of me, and then it asks if a couple other pictures are also me. One of them was one of my friends who also has dark hair. Oh, okay. One of them was my dog. My phone thinks I am my dog. And I'm not insulted, by the way, because I have a very cute dog. So it's not like, ooh, you look like a dog.
At
Like,
least it was your dog. So
it
the
was my
album's
dog.
getting there, you know, because
Yeah.
your dog. So eventually they'll get it right where they'll be able to split the two of you apart.
Yeah, maybe. So
But
it's
that is scary as hell.
yeah. So
Like, to me.
usually I bet the phone thinks that whoever you have the most pictures of is you. And the, the most pictures I have on my phone is my dog.
Yep.
So anyways, we look the same. I look like a dachshund.
I'm very scared of this algorithm. However, it has been picking good music for me. So, I mean, Grumpster, they're pop punk like I would like pop punk to
Yeah.
be.
It's melodic.
Where it's just catchy, straightforward power chords, gritty, without that sheen. There's I don't know what happened. We'll just call it 1998 came, and then the sheen was created on top of pop punk, and that changed the definition of it, and it became a whole nother genre.
Oh.
So this Grumpster is in the classic pop punk, how I understood it prior to the sheen of, we'll say, I'm throwing out 1998. It could be earlier. But anyway, awesome band. I look more to them. They got their albums coming out again in the fall. It's going to be on Asian Man Records.
There's going to be so many albums this fall. It's going to be great.
I know. And then we get the previews now because every band now does the same thing.
Yeah.
They just release one song at a time before they do the album.
And hey,
Pros and cons on that.
Nope.
But hey, we're finding new bands. We're plugging them here.
Yep.
We're digging it.
Yep.
Now on to stuff we hate.
That's right. I mean, and Grumpster, that's basically me on an average day. So I really like the name. Do you have a grudge this week?
I didn't have a good enough grudge.
But you mentioned one earlier when you like a band.
Oh yeah, I was going with that. I'm tired
Okay.
of bands I like being potentially racist jerks. You know, that's a problem.
It's a problem.
And then I have to do more research.
Yeah, you have to vet everyone now, so
it's so hard.
It's a lot of work.
And I guess that's why some people don't care, because it's a lot of work.
Hey.
But you got to do it because I guess you're talking about you can't pick your family, but you can pick your punk bands.
Yeah,
you know?
there's so
choose
many.
wisely, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to pick some dickhead. You could pick somebody that was cool.
Yeah, you can support cool bands. There's
there's
still a lot of them left. And then my grudge of this week is the pop-up you get when you try to watch a YouTube video and it keeps trying to give you a trial of premium or to get you to subscribe to premium. And no matter how many times I've said no, it comes back every single time I use YouTube. At this point, I want a third option where I can just pay $1 to make that pop-up never show again.
I worry about this becoming a new browser feature where they will offer it to you, and then you will start paying all this money to not have things happen. Normally you pay for things to happen, or you get a product, or you get a service. Now you're paying to not have to do that.
I hope
from every angle you are being screwed.
I hope no product managers at YouTube are listening to this podcast, writing down my ideas.
Everything that you say happens on the show. You called everything.
Yeah. We are basically at time.
That's it.
That is our episode. Go follow us on Instagram at Almost Punk. You can email us at almostpunkpod@gmail.com. Share new bands with us or tell us what your grudge is.
Absolutely.